my way. Alright, we're here at Emeryville, California, and I'd like to thank Sony for the invite to check out the new Bravia line for 2024, and also the new quad home theater system, as well as the new soundbars and also the neckband speaker as you see here. If you guys want to skip ahead and see the full demo, that'll be at 1 minute and 40 seconds of the video. But I just like to give a quick tour of the area real quick. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you my feedback on the whole experience. So stay tuned for that. I hope you got your snacks and your drinks ready because this is going to be a long one. I'll divide my video into chapters so you can watch what you want to see. The TV at the end right there is actually the Bravia 3, which replaces the X80K and the X85K. I'm still loving my X80K, which is still going strong since 2022.
But it looks pretty good most of the time. So, are you a sports fan at all? No, more about movies and games and fun things like that. So, yeah.
The reason I ask is Max. You got the same thing?
Hey, look, I found an Easter egg, a PS5 Slim.
How you guys doing? Good. I just had to not deal with all the traffic that I'm early.
So thank you guys for coming. Obviously, you didn't come all out here just to see a PowerPoint, so we'll move through this pretty quickly, but it does kind of set the stage for the cool demos you guys are going to see all around you. I think my favorite one's in the next room. I went too fast. Should have said my favorite Sony product is this Bravia 9. A couple weeks ago, I would have said the A95L, but after seeing this Bravia 9, I'm shifting. So yeah, so let's jump into it. So this is our direction for 2024 home entertainment. If cinema is coming home. So you'll see this online, you'll see it in our displays, advertising, pretty much anywhere you see Sony products, this tagline will be accompanied. So why do we go with cinema is coming home? Well, we listen to our consumers, and our consumers said the number one reason why they upgrade their TV, their soundbar, or just purchase a larger screen in general is for movie watching. So we wanted to lean into that because we at Sony like to be close to the consumer sentiment. Now, if you've ever been to a Sony training before, I'm sure Eric has heard it, you may have heard our lens to living room brand story. And cinema is coming home builds upon that. And this slide right here shows how we partner with our streaming and broadcast partners. And the cool thing I want to point out is obviously within our Sony studios, we use Sony cameras and Sony equipment, but you'll notice some of the titles here are not exclusively Sony productions. So that means these creators trust Sony to execute their vision, whether it be a cinema camera, mastering monitor for the color grading, and then of course we all know PlayStation Studios and all the cool products that come out of the PlayStation, right? So the idea behind it is we work closely with creators. We are creators ourselves. So we're the only home entertainment company that can actually say, and actually deliver that true cinema experience. One of the coolest features in that segment, I believe, is the Prime Video Calibrated mode. So we kind of were talking about this before it started, how you're starting to see more sports being streamed in HDR. So Prime Video, if you guys didn't know, has Thursday Night Football. So I am super juiced to watch some Thursday Night Football in HDR live, which will be on all of the new Sony TVs, and I believe the A95L with an update.
Yeah, and so what he's saying about that is, traditional calibrated modes are for the theater setting, right, for movies. But because Prime is already streaming sports, that means that we don't watch sports in the cinema setting, right, or in the professional setting. It's got to be into setting that's going to have some motion compensation, a little bit higher brightness. It's going to understand what the content is, and it's going to make that adjustment for you. So, pretty cool.
Yeah. And then building off that, like we were mentioning with PlayStation Studios, we do have our perfect for PlayStation feature set. So really, really cool stuff coming 2024. So, like I mentioned, we're extremely experienced in Hollywood, and Sony Pro's newest product is actually this mastering monitor right here. A little bit, let me read the model number so I don't mess it up. It's the BVM HX3110. It's a mini LED mastering monitor, and one of the things that makes this so special is when you go to the AMC Dolby experience, that is, like Steve just mentioned, the perfect setting, right? So you can master your content to around 1,000 nits, and it looks good. The screen is huge, everything's dark, it's fantastic. But for in the home and in different lighting environments, it becomes ideal to take advantage of higher nit mastered content. So like my 895L maxes out around 2,000 nits. Dune 2, when it hits Blu-ray, is going to be mastered at 4,000 nits. So now we want to have a TV that can display those very bright specular highlights.
Yeah, and so in the past we've had our BVMX 310, which was an OLED master monitor that was the 1,000 nits. I know you've seen it in the past. We brought it to another training last year, and that when you master something at 1,000 nits, that means anything that's above that 1,000 nits has to it's gonna clip out, right? So if it's bright, you're not gonna get any more detail beyond that, the color variation. So if you have a TV like he does, that's 2,000 nits, and you're watching 1,000 nit master, that extra 1,000 nits of brightness, we have to do what's called tone mapping. We have to say, hey, that color curve is going this way, we're gonna continue that, and that's a science, and we are very, very good at it. But when we now have a 4,000 nit master monitor, so we have true color range all the way through that 4,000 nit range, there's not any tone mapping needed. It's giving you basically pixel for pixel or brightness for brightness match of what the creator intended you to see. So as you go higher in nits, people are like, oh, it's too bright. It's not about overall brightness, average picture level. It's about specular highlight. It's about that sun being super bright and amazing and still being able to see the detail with it. And we'll show you some cool demos next door on that.
Yeah, so everyone would love to have this guy in their home, right? But
I got
it's
5 of them.
right. But it's like I think for the 30-inch or 35-inch, it's about 35,000, so almost $1,000 an inch. So you can get a Bravia 9 for way less than that and still get a great experience. So this slide right here, from November through January, we did a behind-the-scenes press event and kind of showed them a demo. We showed them a demo that you guys are going to see next door. That showed off what we said was our prototype backlight. We lied. It was the pre-production, but our Bravia 9 backlight. It got rave reviews, and that's kind of what's going on
And
here.
a fun just little nugget of information is usually we create the master monitor first, and then the TVs follow. This master monitor was based off of the Bravia 9 tech. So we created the Bravia 9 first, and then the master monitor is a spawn of that. So pretty cool.
So yeah, so we took our lens to living room story, our experience of being creators and collaborating with creators, and what was a result is our Bravia lineup for 2024. So not only that, we kind of adjusted our naming conventions to be more simplified. So you'll see Bravia 9, which is our flagship mini LED, Bravia 8, which is our OLED, Bravia 7, which is our mini LED, and our Bravia 3, which is our foundation model. A couple other cool products that we're going to be showing you guys today is the Bravia Theater Quad, which is the predecessor of the A9, if you guys are familiar with that one. And then we have our Bravia Theater Bar 9, the 8, and then the Bravia Theater U. So we can get into some of the specs on that, but really what you guys are here for is for the demo, so we'll make sure to jump into that. A couple encore performances from our A95L, and when we get into the other room and show that cutaway demo, a lot of this will become clear, but we wanted to come to market with 3 flagships because it depends on the lighting environment, right? So I might say the Bravia 9 is the flagship, but you and how you perceive color and what you want out of your TV, you might go with the A95L. So we definitely have 3 flagships this year.
Yeah, and then this is our 8K model that's still a baller, and we're keeping that for the majority of this year as well. So it's pretty cool. And then you notice the A90K and the smaller sizes is going to continue on as well. So it's cool.
And then the X90 did so well, and it's such a beast, we brought it back again.
And the A95L, the one he has, let's think of that as a super early 2024 model. It's not
Like a sneak peek.
technically last year. It's kind of early it just came out early for this year.
So some highlights on the Bravia 9, we have our XR backlight master drive, which really revolutionized many LEDs, and I'll save that for the demo. But it is fit for those who get into the quantification of things. 50% brighter than the X95L. Ton more dimming zones as well, 325%. We also updated the audio, the acoustic multi-audio. We have the dual beam tweeters, voice zoom 3, which is near and dear to Steve's heart. He loves that feature. Anybody has trouble hearing dialogue, you can actually boost that, not just the high frequencies, but the human frequency of the human voice. And then we kind of already touched a little bit on the user experiences with Prime Video Calibrated mode. We got a USB-C rechargeable remote on our road to zero, some of our eco initiatives. So yeah, Bravia 9. Our Theater Bar 9, which you guys see right here, slimmed down from the A7000, which had some weight to it and was a little bit bulkier than what you see here. We were talking about one of the coolest features on this guy is it can actually do the spatial sound mapping without the rear speakers. The A7000, A5000, you needed those to do the spatial sound mapping. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, we also, and we can get into that.
It made it a lot smaller too, so it fits between all the TV's feet now, not just some of them.
The Bravia Theater Quad, you guys will get to experience that in the other room. But if you're familiar with the A9, as I mentioned, it builds off that. This thing is really cool. I can't wait for you guys to hear the demo.
This is gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
The spatial awareness on this thing is better than anything I've ever heard. We set up a big room down in LA a couple weeks ago. We built this ES room with this crazy 2-channel, amazing system. It was some of the best 2-channel audio you've ever heard. And then we went into this, and then going from super high-end 2-channel to like 360 spatial mapping and object-based sound technology was just seamless. Like this stuff was flying through the room, in front of you, behind you, above you, below you. I want that so bad. And my wife already gave me the approval, by the way. I did the training on her just to test it. She was like, "Oh, we can do that." I'm like, "Yes."
You know, from a loudness perspective, does it actually? I like the floor to shake, wall, or is it just really just
if
a clear
your floors
sound?
are hollow, yeah. I mean, it's no. I mean, it's not gonna knock your teeth out, but it definitely has enough volume that you don't want to go. It's if you crank it all the way, it's gonna be too loud. Like you want to keep it so it's accurate to what you're
Right.
watching, right? So people aren't screaming at you all the time. Volume hasn't been an issue in how I've tested it, and I usually do most of the tests around 80% in these environments, but there's a lot of acoustic treated walls and ceilings, so we're not getting the same type of reflection that you would be getting at home. So it's a long answer for me saying I can't tell you what the total volume is because the environment I've tested in hasn't been optimal. But I've never sat down and been like, this isn't loud enough. But it works with the same subs from last year, so SW3 and SW5. So.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get away from the old stereo technology.
Yeah, no, this thing is, you'll hear it next door.
Okay.
I think you'll be impressed.
So with the excitement and the innovation behind the mini LEDs, some folks were getting the idea that we are moving away from OLED, but that is not true. We have our Bravia 8, which is fantastic. You can see it right over there. We slimmed it down compared to the A80L. A80L had a bump on the back, so this is completely flat on the back, also thinner. We increased the brightness, and then our XR processor got a few tweaks. It's better at recognizing natural landscapes, better facial recognition. Even there's a specific scene in Hotel Transylvania where it's an octopus, not a human face, but our processor is able to identify that as a face.
And the one thing I want to call out here is this comes in a 50x6x75. The 83 A80L from last year is rolling over just for the 83-inch.
Theater Bar 8, which is back there behind Will, replaces the A5000. 11 speaker units, also does that 360 spatial sound mapping. So I did mention you could do it without the rears. If you add the rears, that'll just be that more of an upgraded experience. Introduces channels, which is pretty cool. And then once again, we made it 30% smaller, just to kind of make installation another, slimmer form factor. The Bravia 7. The Bravia 7 also uses our XR backlight master drive in the Bravia 9. It has fewer zones, especially with the different sizes that we offer, but also has the updates to the acoustic multi-audio. And this guy doesn't have the anti-reflective technology that the Bravia 9 does, but it's priced at a very strategic price point. So if you are looking at a 65-inch Bravia 8, that will probably be very close in price to a 75-inch Bravia 7. So the idea is go bigger, go brighter for a similar price as an OLED.
This is the TV that everyone's gonna love. This thing outpunts its distance, outpunts its price point. When we get it fired up back there for you guys will be blown away with this TV.
And if you're comparing this to the Bravia 8, you're probably not worried about anti-reflective anyways, because you were looking at OLED to begin with. Bravia 3 is this guy right here. It's our foundation model. We actually have our X1.
This is our 4K HDR X1 chip. So it's our award-winning chip from a few years back. Came out of our flagship TV, and the fact that that's in our base model is kind of ridiculous. So you have a base level television that has object-based HDR remastering technology and all the gaming features that you can have in a 60Hz TV. So it is, once again, outpunting its distance, right? That thing is a monster for what it is. So really good in well-lit rooms, really good for, you know, like a second TV if you want to have like a monster as your main TV, but like have a good TV as a secondary. Awesome. Honestly, it's great for a primary TV if you're just not that into it. But if you guys showed up for this, you're into it. So it's probably one of your secondary TVs.
And then one of the things I'm very excited to talk about at Shopfront is we actually have a 4-position stand now. So we have our soundbar positioning, our wide soundbar, our traditional positioning. We have a narrow, so if you have a narrow TV console, we can accommodate that. And then if you want to also add a soundbar, you can do narrow and raised. So no other manufacturer gives you this much flexibility in their stand positions. Kind of touched on this, so we can move quick on it, but Bravia 7 is going to be priced at a very strategic standpoint, so can upgrade to the mini LED and get a bigger experience. So we have, at least in my time with Sony, we've never had a commercial. So when we came out with this, I was super excited. So I wanted to play this for you guys. And then,
Sounds like you're in it.
right, I know. That'd be cool. That's the next step.
Soon, only not yet.
You ever wondered how a Hollywood movie is shot? On a Sony. You review it on a Sony. And how do you make that sound epic? You record it on a Sony. Lunch break on a Sony. So why wouldn't you watch it on a Bravia by Sony?
This is using an edge-lit technology on this TV, which means that the lights are being generated from the side, and it's kind of casting the light across the screen, where this is using a direct lit system. And what direct lighting is the lights are behind the panel and evenly dispersed behind the panel, so you're not going to get hot spots and cold spots or any of that, what we call the dirty screen effect, where you kind of see like those, you ever been to like the EFW or some Buffalo Wild Wings, you see any of those big sports bars, they got hundreds of TVs on, there's a couple of them that like go dead spots all over them. That's typically something that's coming out of an edge-lit technology. Not shaming edge-lit, we invented it, but we just no longer use it because direct is a much better technology because it works better in a bright room. The other thing that you guys are going to notice with the demo that's playing here is take a look at the detail. Yeah, and definitely move around because even one of these TVs have X wide viewing angle, so you want to look more straight on. But pay attention to little things like how the loss of detail here. Actually, can we pause that real quick? Yeah. That's not paused. Oh. Well, either way, I mean, if you guys come up close, you can really see here, it's not really giving you detail. It's just kind of putting weird lines in to make it look like it's giving you detail in here. And then if you walk over to that one, and you're like, oh, that's dirt, that's bushes. I think that's called a coyote bush. Yeah, it was by my house. That's the only reason I know that. And then you can see little funny tricks that lots of companies try to do where they do with edge enhancement, where they're basically just trying to draw a line around the outside to kind of give that that perception that the image pops. Whereas this one is doing what's called object-based technology. So it's grabbing each one of these clouds individually, it's grabbing this row of data down here individually, this row of mountains individually, and it's processing them as individual items. So the good side about that is you're never going to have a dominant color push into something it's not supposed to. So these clouds aren't being perceived as blue or purple because this color is not bleeding into this piece because the TV is processing them independently. On other manufacturers, often you're going to see main color, whether it's blue or green, where it's most commonly perceived is red. If you've got a lot of red in the screen and you get someone's face on the screen, all of a sudden their face looks like a strawberry. That's because they're doing frame-based processing where everything's kind of unilaterally, and everything's impacting each other. So we'll let this play for a little bit. Let you see some of these. This is the next one that's going to pop up here. This one here.
This one.
So
The detail in the rock you can see looks natural. Looks like it's actually been made through erosion, not by a digital process.
yeah, and you're seeing the shortcomings of edge-lit technology as well here, because they're trying to illuminate this because the sun's obviously hitting these rocks. So they're trying to make it as bright as possible, but they can't create this bright and this area dark at the same time. It's really hard for that to happen with an edge-lit technology specifically. And then at the same time, they're having a real hard time resolving the image in here, where that one is resolving the image much better. And we'll try to speed up through these TVs and we'll get to the super fun ones here in just a second. I think there's one more. That's the same stuff. Sorry. Silent shutter, Liz.
I had it on the silent
She
shutter.
loves that camera.
No, I'm just giving her a hard time. Because she's gonna give me that camera. This is a really good one too, because same stuff. Look at the clouds, look at the rocks. And then the other thing that you'll notice too, and this happens on both of them when you get off on the angle, but when you're straight on, you can see how this is a good black level, but you're still getting some good detail within there. Whereas this one, there's kind of this blue haze, and that's just what happens when you struggle with shadow detail, in a lot of cases. And you're not using a local dimming technology. And you guys want to know about frame dimming or the additional tech that's in here, we can nerd out afterwards. Which I love nerding out, so.
He does.
Because I am a nerd. All right. So, any questions on the Bravia 3?
So that replaces the X80K,
Correct.
basically.
And
Okay.
the 85.
80 and
85.
85.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 60 hertz instead of 120 like the 85 inch. But once again, our Motion Flow 240 is really good. And it still has all the cool gaming features minus the 120 hertz stuff. So, great gaming TV as well. All right, cool. Let's move on. Sony comes from the name Sonus, which is Latin for sound. Right, so we started as an audio company first and foremost. So a lot of our legacy products, like you're seeing here on this little clip here, are our old audio legacy products, starting with reel-to-reel, going, when we created Super Audio CD, you'll see a lot of that in here. Just some of our mixing boards and just how our footprint in the music industry and the audio world in general is massive. And right now we're most famously known for our video products, but audio is really where we were born. And so we just like to show that off. Take a look at this 50-pound monster over here, and then you can take a look at the internal components. We took the back off and threw a piece of plexi on it. Took the top off and put a piece of plexi on there so you guys can take a look at it. We can fire the lights up for you later, Eric, too, so you can get a better view on that.
Right.
And it's a monster. Our ES product, if none of you guys have had a chance to utilize any of our ES stuff, it's designed to just go. Like, it's 5-year warranties, but I don't know if anyone has ever actually used it. All right, now let's get to some fun stuff over here. So we've got 3 TVs for you. We've got our Sony X90L from last year that we're continuing on this year. This is our Bravia 7 that Aaron was telling you about. This is going to be the most popular TV of the year as far as total, like what most people are going to buy. And then over here we brought a Samsung, their new QN85D, which is their mini LED. So technically these are supposed to be comparable, but I'll let you guys decide if that's true or not. Go ahead.
Did you have a certain video you wanted, or just?
Yeah, do the balloons.
The balloons, yeah.
And so you may notice the demo that's on here, but I'll let you figure out where that came from. May have given it away right there. So you can take a look and go ahead and pause that for me. So you can see what we're able to do with color and maintaining the accuracy of that color in compared to what a competitive TV may do with that kind of red. Red is a really, really difficult color to reproduce and reproduce accurately with accurate gradation. So, pretty cool. All right, what do you guys see?
A zipper.
Zipper, because all train tracks are zippers. Comparison-wise, let me tighten that question up. What do you see comparison-wise?
Grass and no grass.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So if you guys ever
It's
want to
like
venture
neon.
out to Chernobyl,
Yeah.
this is what that looks like.
Radioactive.
Glowing
It is
grass.
radioactive. You may go visit it and come back with a sixth toe. But there's also other things going on.
Well, the other thing that we were pointing out on that demo, but you see it really dramatically here, is look at the
Oh, yeah, the
this
outline.
processing. Yep. If you look at, and this is sometimes it's hard to Sony has the best processor on the market. Sometimes it's hard to see what
Yeah, you
that's
can
doing
tell
for you,
just
but
with the
this is
grass and the tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or even just the different shades of grass.
The one that got
Mhm.
brought up in the last class twice was the gravel.
Oh yeah.
Right here. And
Yeah,
actually,
gravel's a mush over here.
yeah. So processing, we are king when it comes to processing. And and I told you the other one can do like 16 objects. This is doing a couple thousand objects. The XR chip is a beast.
And they could even see the, how over processed that tree is all the way from the middle of the ground.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, come up close. We're like, we don't need to.
Yeah.
Alright, go ahead and roll it.
I was like, that's the first time I've heard
Look at
music.
that.
Broccoli.
You guys haven't been in a broccoli forest? Oh,
Yeah.
all the cool kids are doing it.
Disgusting.
You've never flown on a turtle either, have you? With trees on his back.
Broccoli trees.
Broccoli
We used to call
trees.
Godzilla trees in our house to get the kids to eat them.
Someone was having fun putting this on the napkin before it went out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we were making up stories on what the motivation for this was.
Now I remember when I got my Bravia, you guys had that city scene at night. And that's what got me.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got some.
We still got that.
Yeah.
We still, that's a great one.
I was hooked.
Tokyo one. That one with the
I've never
grass.
seen it at Best Buy.
Yeah, in the grass.
Yeah.
The other thing, I mean, even though technically it's a weight class below, that X90 really stands out very, very well for being full array.
Alright. As soon as these are floating in the city, not this one, wait. And there.
That's a nice picture.
So we talked about object-based HDR remastering technology. So this is a good one because this one can do thousands of items versus 16 on the other one, or 0 for everybody else. But you guys see the depth? Like not just how it almost comes out 3D this way, but like how you feel like you can kind of reach into the screen.
The contrast.
And then you look at that one and it's more two-dimensional, right?
Yep.
We can basically give the credit to the XR chip for all of that and the object-based HDR remastering technology that we're able to do. And then the other thing that we do that's going to allow for that, not necessarily in this image so much, but a lot of times when you're watching movies, the background's out of focus on purpose, right? The director wants you to pay attention to the foreground, so they blur the background. Our TVs are smart enough to de-emphasize processing in the background. So when you have other companies and they see that background that's out of focus, they're putting as much processing in trying to sharpen something that's not supposed to be sharpened as something that is supposed to be sharpened. And that just creates more noise and artifacts. You'll have a good demo of that next door. But these TVs, anything with the XR chip, is going to do an amazing job just being like, no, I'm not going to mess with that background. That's how it's supposed to be, and I'm going to apply my processing to the rest of it. So pretty cool. Oh wait, we got to pause it real quick.
Well, that's the good part.
You'll get to see it. You'll get to see it. I promise. Can you put that into their
Filmmaker.
mode?
I was just gonna ask that. He could have been tricking us and just put it bright.
No, we kind of wanted to show. They wanted to put it in the most
No, I'm glad you did that. It was,
aggressive way to see if a TV can handle it in torch mode.
I haven't seen the IMAX Enhanced.
IMAX Enhanced is awesome. Custom, which is now the professional mode, is fully calibrated by Sony Pictures. So if you have custom on your TV, that's really what you should be using in a completely dark room. You go to cinema, and that's custom, but with a little bit more bright kicked into it, assuming you've got like a kitchen light on or something along those lines. But now we're going to take a look at, in all of our movie modes. This one's really obvious. Let's get some more audio. This is just TV speakers, by the way. I only got it one. I've got it the first time in nonsense. But this is good enough. We'll stop. Actually, there was another spot. Bam! Got it. All right. So, sorry, that was really exciting.
It's a hard one to get. So.
It is. So this is when we talk about specular highlight, right? When we, none. These aren't all the 4,000 net monsters, but like, what you can see is that we are able to give you that specular highlight without clipping out the detail, and it's not going to flatten the image, right? It's not going to spread across. It's going to stay where it's supposed to stay within the lightning strikes. And the X90 over here is just doing an incredible job for what it is. Like, I mean, it's full array and everything, which is amazing, but the number of zones that has over this, there's just, that shouldn't be that good. It really is. You can just see, when you see those lightning strikes over there, it's dope.
Got a cast on the.
Yeah. And then the other part is there's a spot here where there's a bunch of flames in the background. Moving too fast. There you go. Take a look at the flames in the background. Like flames here, compared to what you're seeing on that guy. And those are just fully clipped out. So, pretty amazing. All right, I'm gonna move on to another demo here. Voice soon. So we're at minimum right now. That's not what I wanted to do.
So 2 quick off-speed pitches, gets to 0-2, and now Walker has to find a way to make contact here.
So that's just EQing up the voice frequencies?
No. So we have an algorithm that's in this TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's AI. So we are specifically grabbing just the human voice. So VoiceZoom 2 was kind of grabbing the frequencies of the human voice, but every once in a while I'll grab something outside of the human voice and bring it up with it. This is very specifically only grabbing the frequencies of the human voice and allowing that to elevate. So
That's pretty awesome.
yeah,
Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, we've
I wish I had that.
all experienced it where we're trying to watch something you can't, and so we turn it up and then we do the up and down dance. We're just going
Yep.
up and down.
Right.
Super annoying. This is gonna alleviate that. Like on my couple-year-old OLED in my bedroom, I leave it on 5 constantly, and it just allows me to listen to it at a much lower volume. And you'll find that obviously the XR chips are going to do the best job in this, but the advantage of that, besides having the better chip, is those are all forward firing, right? So that's going to be far more impactful. The Bravia 3 has a voice zoom feature, more like the voice zoom 2 level, but those are downward firing. So it's still impactful, but nothing like what you just heard here. So definitely a really cool feature. And then if you tie it up with one of our sound bars or our quad, which you're going to hear in a little bit, it works as a single thing. So like you don't have to turn up voice zoom on the TV and go turn up voice zoom on the bar. It's one piece. So let's go ahead and push play for a couple more seconds before we switch demos.
Strump slider is pretty good, but it can also be really erratic on his arm action, which is a little bit herky-jerky. When it's all timed right, the ball disappears under the back foot of a left-hander and away from a right-hander, but when it's not, it spins over the middle of the plate. Call that a cement mixer.
It allows you to listen to your TV at a more modest volume with amazing clarity.
Walker puts it in play, fires to go to third, and it gets away!
Outside when we were doing introductions, but Russell is custom install, custom integration team. Yeah. So he works with our pro side and contractors and things like that. He is super knowledgeable on TVs, which is why he's driving the demos.
Ouch. Just don't stump me here.
Now I set you up, now we have to.
Oh no, this is demo. So we've got the C4 over there, and then this is the new Bravia 8 over here, obviously. And it's all the same stuff we just talked about over there, but the difference is OLED, right? With OLED, like starry scenes, high contrast scenes with the individual illuminated pixels. Ooh, let's pause that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, I mean, the differences between the LED and the OLED, I mean, is it the contrast, is it the vividness?
It's contrast, and to be honest, I think lifestyle, right? So where you're putting them is gonna make the biggest difference. So if you're looking for something that's gonna be in a room that you're gonna watch football during the day, and then you're also gonna do movies at night, go with the mini LED. Like, just, that's how it is. That's what you want to do. That's the Swiss Army knife TV. It'll look good in all environments.
Mine's got a wall of windows down one side,
Yep.
right next to the screen.
Yeah, and
And
if you-
the LED made more sense than anything else.
Yeah, and if you did an OLED in that, which is they're plenty bright for casual viewing in a bright area and stuff like that. But because it's glass, they are more susceptible to reflection. All right. So and because it's not as bright, it's not going to battle ambient light as well. So that's why I have an OLED in my bedroom. I think they're the best bedroom TV, and they're amazing even in like a theater environment in a dark room. But they can't hit the peak brightness of what we're going to show you with the Bravia 9 in a minute. And with all these new movies getting mastered at 4,000 nits, these can never hit 4,000 nits. I can't say never. No, never say never in this industry. These are likely to never. I still said it again. Go with the mini LED on that. But if you look over here, what you're going to see on the OLEDs is just once again it comes down to processing. And when it comes to Sony, everything's processing. And whether it's the detail, the highlights here, we're just getting a little bit pushed out over there. One of the things I'd like to point out in this one, I talk about the background defocus and how this one right here, they defocus this so they can bring the focus onto this Cayman, I think is what we ended on.
Yeah.
What that is?
I kept calling it a gator.
Yeah, there we go. So what we're seeing here is us completely leaving this background defocused the way it's supposed to be, and then you're seeing little pieces over here where they're trying to enhance it, and you see a little bit more noise and grain in here because they're trying to sharpen something that's not supposed to be sharpened. Where our processor is like, nah, that's not supposed to be sharpened. We're gonna leave that alone. We can push all of our processing towards this over here. The other thing about OLED that you want to consider too is an advantage of OLED, and this doesn't apply to the Bravia 9, but the rest of the lineup is off-axis viewing, right? So if you're going to buy a TV for a room in your house where not everyone's going to be sitting directly in front of it, OLED is definitely the best technology. But Bravia 9 does it incredibly well. Bravia 9 does everything well. Like, it's the best TV I've ever seen in my life, so you'll hopefully agree with me in about 10 minutes. So two very good TVs, but hopefully you guys can perceive the difference on what our processing is capable of
Even
doing.
the color in the sky there on the Sony OLED had more of a blue tint, like a natural sky would, and then the C4 was still giving kind of a gray hue.
Do you want me to run with this clip, or do you want to skip to?
Let's just go to the Gravity if you like. I want to get them next door.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I'll start with that.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Your space.
Yeah. Well, for those of you guys who've been in any of my or our demos in the past, you've probably seen us use this clip. But this is a great clip, especially on OLEDs because of the stars and it's super dark and black. But as Sandra Bullock disappears into space here, go ahead and push play. You know, the director wants you to continue to see her even when the lights aren't facing you, which you can see, you can still see her. Over there,
Starts blending in.
she kind of disappears. Also, take a look at the Milky Way. How many more stars are you getting on this screen than that screen? And that is a product of processing again, right? That XR chip is doing work here. So, do me a favor, can you pause it now? So you can still see where she's at, and you can see her arms, you can see her head over here, and
She's still in
That
that.
was a good
little
pop.
shot
there you go.
right
There she is. There she is. So
Less detail.
yeah, I should have started on that side. I wasn't trying to
Oh, no.
kind of prove the point. Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it, but I have a OLED. I love it.
OLEDs are amazing, and this is, what we're going to show you next door isn't going to make you fall out of love with OLED. It's just going to make you understand that the ceiling of what we can do in LED or mini LED specifically is here, and the ceiling for OLED is
Alright, impressive.
Welcome, guys. Yeah, this is my favorite room of the room show.
Oh, I saw a clip of this on YouTube.
Yes, and you guys get to see the real thing now, and it's pretty impressive.
Pretty much so.
Go ahead and start.
Yeah, so first off, what you see here are two televisions, right? We have a Bravia 9 and the competitor, this is the QN90. I believe it's the C from Samsung. But point of this demo is these two TVs have similar zone counts, right? So if you walk into a Best Buy or a retail shop, you might just see fact tags that just have numbers that look very similar. This demo is going to show that even though that number might be similar, the experience you get, it might not be. And one of the reasons for that is this year Sony came to market this year the smallest LED driver, I believe, in the world, smaller than a grain of rice or a sesame seed, which is what you see here. And what you get from that is a crazy amount of detail in the backlighting. So even though like I mentioned, yeah, you're gonna need the glasses. Highly recommended.
You're gonna need these.
I'm excited.
Not recommended.
It takes it reads the signals from the Blu-ray player too quickly. And I didn't want to
Even these might not be enough. The glasses, I mean.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but and feel free to walk around the room too, because the different angles are gonna give you a different perspective as well. But when it comes to local dimming, when you have subpar processing, or even what's not been available until now, when you have a ton of zones, the more zones you get, the more it's going to function like a direct backlit television. You're going to get less discrete control, and so you're going to have more of a on or off situation. But because of what he just talked about with our new microprocessors and our the new board that we created, now we have far more precise control. So what you're seeing here is what is the image that's being fed. Oh, let me back up a second. Obviously, this is something wrong with these TVs, right? We took the LCD panel off, so
We get that.
I just want to make sure I want to cover that. So we removed the LCD portion, which is going to give you the color and the image, and we just are showing you what the backlight will do to illuminate said image. So the more control you have over your backlight, the better the picture is going to look. And so we gave you guys sunglasses in a dark room for a reason. That thing is a monster. Well, these are both good mini LED TVs, but I think it's pretty obvious the difference. The fact that you can actually make out what that image is. Yeah, and
this part shouldn't be illuminated.
Right?
And we have the control to shut it off or to block it out.
Yeah,
Whereas,
yeah.
you see the competition doesn't have that level of control. And someone asked earlier about OLED versus mini LED. So OLED has self-illuminating pixels, so they can shut off when it's black. Mini LED is getting not quite to the pixel level, but as you can see, very, very close. So that gap in contrast and blooming is starting to become smaller and smaller, and you'll see that when we turn around.
And what we're able to achieve, because as you go higher in the nits rating, you're getting more color.
Right.
Right. So the brighter something is, the more shades of gradation that you can get. Like this one's my favorite. Like
Yeah, it really
value
shows it.
emotion. This one, actually, no, I'm sorry. The one with the lantern.
The local dimming.
And so this is the one that we kind of tricked some folks with and talked about this being a future technology. The demo that we showed, I think you guys saw the YouTube videos, and then we said, oh yeah, by the way, that future technology that was coming, it's here.
It's here, right.
So under promise, over deliver, right? And so when I say that the ceiling for mini LED is much higher than the ceiling for OLED, this is what we're referring to.
You can see the pedal definition.
Right there, boom.
The one on the left has got to be more blooming because just the fact that they can't control the backlight.
Yes and no. So let me touch on that one. So it's a choice of the manufacturer, right? So some manufacturers choose to crush blooming, but in doing so, they're also choosing to crush your shadow detail and to get rid of creator's intent. We choose not to prioritize getting rid of all blooming so that we can provide you creator's intent, right?
Okay.
Because if we crushed every piece of bloom that came out of this, if you walked up to it in a weird angle and just, oh look, if I stand here on 1 foot looking this way, there's blooming. Cool, but you're never gonna see that from a theater position. And maybe if you crush that black down, now you can't see the shadow detail that the director really wanted you to see.
Sure, sure.
So that's that one Black Friday TV.
Right.
It's all about creator's intent. Alright, I say we move to this side because I'm about to
Close my eyes a couple times just to ease it back a little.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. Now that you've got us all
It's a great
blinded.
demo.
Right, exactly.
We should have ended with that.
Yeah.
And then send you guys out into the world.
Right, right,
Oh,
right.
we'll turn the
Hang
light
on, let's
back on.
dilate your eyes.
Other consoles.
Alright,
Is this Reno?
Santa Fe.
Ah, okay, same idea.
So we have the QN90D from Samsung here, the Bravia 9 Sony Mini LED. Then we have the S95D QD OLED from Samsung, and then our A95L Sony QD OLED. So a couple things this will help to really illustrate when we're talking the difference between OLED and Mini LED. So you'll notice on ours you get the perfect black, and the Bravia 9 does really well. Does really well with that black area. And then down there they're having a rough day.
It's so what's important to note about this video feed that you're seeing is we actually took this, which is a high quality video feed, and we brought it to our broadcast friends, and we said, hey, can you compress this the same way that broadcast is compressed? So what you're seeing here is a high quality video signal that's been through traditional broadcast compression, and that's what you're seeing here is when you have noise that's coming in and their TVs see that noise, they don't know how to differentiate between that, what's supposed to be there, and what's not supposed to be there. So by them trying to process it, it's actually causing it to be illuminated, right? Whereas over here, kind of like I was talking about the blur, background, defocus, and all that fun stuff, we're able to say, nah, we even with all that compression and noise that truly still exists here, we're able to just ignore it, right? And then once again, even on the flagship, actually when you get closer, you can even see like, it looks like the filter. Yeah, it looks like tight, like jeans material kind of like there. And then that one is just obviously a beautiful and amazing and perfect. So that's kind of what you're seeing here. We wanted to create something that's what the consumer is going to see at home.
And earlier Steve mentioned decision. So this is an example of decision, right? So OLEDs sometimes are a little more reflective. So this manufacturer made a decision to put an anti-reflective coating, but in doing so, they've killed creators' intent. They've altered the black levels to an extreme and aggressive way, something that Sony would not do, because we are creators ourselves. So that kind of helps illustrate some of those decisions. And that's the thing I was noticing so I have this TV at home, right? So I love my A95. But when I saw this, right? Then when I saw the Bravia 9, this was where I really saw where the Mini LED excels, especially in this
There we
series.
go, yeah.
So this one is amazing because I've been using this demo for 10 years now or something crazy. And the crazy thing about this demo is it's the same one that we've been using forever. And right here on the AD, there's a little patch in the sign. And that's what 4,000 minutes look like coming at you. And then,
I'm gonna stop it when it shows all.
okay, yeah, that's fine. Boom. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, so if you look at the QD OLEDs, right? So up to 2,000 nits, you see a clear, delineation between the colors. Even in red.
Actual sun. Now this is just one, right? This is considered clipping because there's detail that lives in here that this TV cannot render.
And the heat behind that sun.
Oh yeah.
Actually, for
It's
fun,
hot.
you guys all take a second, walk up to the screen, and put your hand on the sun.
Yeah, put your
Seriously, I'm
fingernails
not
on
joking.
it.
You put the back of your hand right there.
Feel it.
Those are heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels as hot as the sun. And then
That's
feel the,
radiating.
Yeah, that one will give you some heat too, but definitely not.
Nothing like that, yeah.
Is this just like LED?
Correct. Because OLED
Runs a lot cooler.
Yeah, it does.
And
Yeah, and
So
then,
which one of these is equivalent to last year's 85 that I bought directly from Sony, not from like Costco or anything like that?
the 85 inch or the?
So I bought the 85,
X95
very
though.
newest one, so that'd be like this one over here.
That'd be
You get-
similar to this one. It'd be the
The predecessor.
This
You have
is the
the
new one.
X95L?
Yeah.
Sure. I bought an 85, biggest one you had, in a mini LED last year.
So it would have been either the 93 or the 95. So this, if it's a 93, then the Bravia 7 would be.
It's a 95.
Then that's
Okay.
95 is that TV's a monster.
It's beautiful, everybody loves it. Never ever
Yeah,
seen
no,
it.
the TV's insane. It's the Bravia 7 is similar to that one.
And then two behind you, and the SW5 subwoofer as well. And then we have the acoustic center sync feature hooked up to the Bravia 9. So that's gonna
Yeah,
look-
so this is the best spot in the room.
Yeah.
Right in front of this, right in front of this TV, right about there, and then just do like this.
So I'm going to show you a clip from Dune, not the original, but the first one of this new series. And you're going to hear a scene where they're at one of the spice miners and they're going to leave it for the sandworm to eat. And our protagonist, the main character, gets caught in a dust cloud with spice flying all around him, and you hear the Bene Gesserit speaking to voices in his ear. So
So you're gonna hear voices, is what you're telling me.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the spatial sound mapping, and those voices in particular is fantastically done. And you'll hear that. Even this room, which is not great for audio, you have weird,
Now, are these speakers running through any receiver or strictly TV?
just so we have our head unit right here that we've hooked up to the TV, and then they're
And that's it.
communicating, we calibrated it right.
All right.
That's it.
Took about maybe 5 minutes, nothing.
I'm
really
curious.
major.
Recognize your footsteps, old man.
Bless the Maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world and keep the world for his people.
These speakers, compared to the A9s from last year, which were cylindrical, which are great, but tougher to install. And these feet is also the mounting bracket. So if you decide to wall mount it, that's what this turns into the wall bracket for this as well. So it's gonna fit into your guys' home environments a lot easier. Like I said, my wife gave me the thumbs up on this, which blew my mind. It's the first time she said yes to anything electronics in like 10 years. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
What's the price on a set of, or like how are they sold? It's like a set of 4? Or
Yeah, you get the 4, and then you can add a subwoofer. We were using the SW5 in that back corner. And you can, it's wireless, so stick it wherever you want, or you can use SW3, entirely up to you.
And that controller comes with all 4 of them, right?
And it's $24.99. Yeah, it comes with a controller. $24.99 for the setup. So pretty amazing if you compare it to any kind of component system, because this is kind of like a hybrid version of the component system. If you think about what you're gonna have to spend for an AVR, what you're gonna have to spend for the speakers, what you're gonna have to spend for the wiring, and most likely for the install, I would say that it comes in a very good price point for what you're getting. So yeah, it's incredible. The spatial sound awareness is amazing. The 360 spatial sound mapping, say that fast, is extraordinarily accurate. So I didn't find any gaps in the audio. And once again, these are not the best listening environments. I've yet to hear these in a home environment, only in different types of hotels and in Vegas at CES and like so. One of the whole selling features of these speakers is the fact that you don't have to have a perfect room. You can stick one back a little further and a little bit higher, one forward a little bit and lower, and you can try to screw it up. And then you do the 360 spatial sound mapping, you're gonna think that they're all perfectly and like, yeah, I designed this room for that, right? That's kind of how that goes. So the fact that it can sound that good in this room, and the fact that it sounded great in LA and then Vegas and all these different rooms with different heights and has proven to me that this thing is an absolute monster.
Really, you just plug it in.
Oh yeah, and the install is about as easy as it gets. I mean,
I don't see a speaker wire, nothing.
no, just power, just plug it in power. And I also like that we were smart enough to not put the power supply external. So the power supply is inside of the speaker itself. So no power break. Yeah, you just have a wire. That's it.
Wall warts.
Yeah, no, yes. I hate those things. I haven't heard wall warts in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, bringing it back. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
it.
So that concludes the
That
organized
concludes
demo.
this. So any questions, or if you guys want to take any additional pictures, I know we're going to get you set up for videos here and stuff in a second.
If you reach this point in my video, you're a real Sony fan, so let me know by commenting Sony below. And thanks again Sony for the invite and the new Alt headphones. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the full demo, and I'm really glad that Sony changed the naming scheme, which is more memorable than the previous naming scheme with all those numbers and letters, and this is better for the regular customers out there. What stood out to me the most was the LED demo showing how pinpoint accurate the LEDs are on the Bravia 9 versus the competition, the Samsung S95C. Without the front glass, I can definitely notice the details, especially during that lamp scene. Also, I was blown away by the Bravia Quad. My phone couldn't do it justice, so you definitely have to experience it in person. The only negative thing about my experience is that the soundbars Bravia 8 and Bravia 9 weren't tested, which I forgot to ask to hear them in person. Other than that, I had a great time. So thanks again Sony for the invite, and thank you Sony fans for watching. Stay tuned and stay Sony.